and welcome back to City Planner Plays, where we are building the city of Verde Beach. In the previous episode, we built the Hamilton experience, and it is a fantastic park in my mind, but there are a couple things that we could improve. There were some comments in the comments that I thought were really good. First of all, we have two intersections of Ocean Avenue and Hamilton Experience Avenue. First of all, let's take this down. We don't need it to be Hamilton Experience Avenue. It can just be Hamilton Avenue. And we will take 3rd Street and bring that down to Hamilton Avenue. And now we have resolved the issue with having streets or two intersections of the same street. Another thing that I really liked was someone mentioned that this name is just crazy. And I know it's crazy. You know it's crazy. And we're going to fix it. So I think we're going to make this the Ritz Hamilton. That sounds upscale, classy, and fancy. So there we go. One of the other things that someone mentioned is that the side of this theater is just not great to look at. And we have this empty space. We can take a look. There's not a lot of empty space in the middle, but there's some. And we could maximize our space by moving this. So we're going to call a quick mulligan. Scoot this over just a little bit and allow some other uses to develop over here. And that's it's far more space efficient with our planning. The other thing I want to do is I want to make this the Hamilton Theater. So this is a far more space efficient use. And I think that really improves what's happening in this area. Now, on to today's episode. And what we're going to do, we have this excellent tourism destination, but no tourists really besides those that we get on the bus system. So let's really crank the tourism up to 100 and build a harbor port. They might be wondering, why not just build an airport? Well, one major reason. If you look here, we can't get an airport until we reach a population of 60,000. So in addition to building this harbor, we're going to need to start thinking about more residential development. There is demand for it, and I think I've got some ideas. We're going to start building out this neighborhood over here and really start thinking about making some more connections throughout the region. One thing I think is really missing is kind of a collector. That's kind of a backdoor into this area. We're really concentrating all of our traffic at this point down the highway and down this arterial, and you can see it. We take a look at our traffic. Actually, well, it doesn't look that bad. We're at 85%. But when you look at where people are going and how they're getting here, let's take a look. Basically, everyone is coming from this arterial, from the highway, to get to the downtown area. And let's take a look at how they're getting to the Hamilton experience. Well, lots of people driving all the way through town. It's really kind of focusing people on these two routes, and our zoo and our forest are acting as major barriers to get people from the highway, the tourists from the highway to this area. So what we're going to do today is going to help, but we'll need some more reliever roads. And we're going to need all that before we get to the airport, which is something that is also very, very much needed. So in planning for this, we're going to build another harbor. So I hope you're into harbors, because I'm into them right now. So there's something we need to think about, and that is, so when we're looking at this harbor, we need to see where our connections are. And one thing I see is that they're quite a ways out. They don't come in. So I know that I have to focus the harbor towards that connection. So I don't want to just put it on the beach and connect it up with a road. I think that's pretty hokey and unrealistic. So we are going to build a harbor, and I'd love to put two of these, but I know that it's going to be a challenge unless they're side by side, which is also not a great design. So we're going to need to freestyle a little bit there when we're building this out. We're not going to be able to focus this harbor towards the Hamilton experience because of the direction of the actual harbor connection. And that's kind of a limitation of the vanilla game. If this were a modded game, I might add my own connection so that you could make a clear, clean connection into a harbor and focus it in both directions. But we're going to work within the constraints that we have, and I think it's going to turn out just fine. So I really want there to be some significant synergy between our multi-platform end station. Let's rename this. So we'll make this Verde Beach Central Station. I want there to be some synergy between the harbor and what's happening here at the central station. So we're going to extend this out. It's very similar to what we did in the previous episode, but we are going to angle this towards that connection. So without any further ado, let's get started. I'll explain what I'm doing after I get started. Okay, so a lot of stuff happening here now, and that's with purpose. So what I think I want to do is I want to extend, let's see what road this is. This is Sardine Street. We're going to extend Sardine towards the ocean. And then we're going to take this street, which is Smithson Street. So these I think are actually some names that I'll need to take care of in the future. They haven't been modified. We're going to take that, maybe this will be Harbor Boulevard or Harbor Drive or something like that. We're going to take this and use this as the main spot for our boats. So I'm trying to establish how I'll get the quay walls connected here, but one of the things I really want to focus on is I want this to be a smooth connection through here so that cars aren't stopping when they come to this area. So I have a nice gradual turn there, and that's going to be very important. Now, the configuration here is going to make it incredibly challenging to actually be able to make that quay wall in vanilla, but I'm going to show you some tricks that I use to make it work. I do want to pull this out at least one tile though, so that I can get the quay wall there. I'm just going to upgrade this just so I can see. Yeah, I got about a tile. So it doesn't reestablish those the tiles unless you upgrade. So I like to do that from time to time. So I pulled this all the way around because this is where I'm going to build my quay wall, and I'm going to go about one tile out from this road. And what I want to do is I want to find one of these circles on the road because that makes it really easy to snap to one tile from the road. You can always extend these walls from, straight from where you build them, but it's really a challenge to do anything beyond that. So we've got this. So this is about the depth that I'm going to go for most of the quay wall. I'll try to mirror that over here. And now I'm going to turn my curved road tool on. Just continue to follow the guides that it's giving me. So it's going to try to keep me the same distance away. This is probably going to be the one spot that's a challenge. We just need to start from the other side. And it'll be a little off. It'll be a little wonky. And that's okay. That's what landscaping's for. We will do a little bit of landscaping and figure this all out down the line. So this road right here is straight. And this is going to be a challenge because we're going to put our harbor here, and that is immediately going to get things wonky. And you can see there's just not enough space. And I'm really reluctant to delete this. I think this is going to cause lots of problems, but we're going to have to do it. So, deleted that. This is just kind of clicking back and forth. I'm just going to keep tapping on my mouse button until it places. And now this road, because of the quay walls, is going to be a real challenge to place. But we got it. It's a little bit less straight than maybe I'd prefer, but I think it works. So now you might be wondering, how am I going to fix this situation that we've built? And pretty simple. I think that first of all, we're going to taper this in, just like the other quay wall that we built for the Hamilton experience. Now I'm going to bury this a little bit more so we get that nice, clean wall appearance around this side. And over here, I'm going to dredge things out a little bit more so that the boats can get in here fairly easily. We'll also bring it up to our quay wall. And I want to flatten an area over here because I have an idea. I think we're going to put a shopping center here. One of our DLC creator content pack shopping centers. So we'll get to that later because I want to fix some of this grading. Okay, so I think that this kind of naturally flows in. It explains why this harbor's here in terms of the landscape itself. So there is a little bit of, kind of harsh shore here. That's okay. I do think I am going to clean it up a little bit. So one thing I could do is I could take a key wall and kind of just extend that down into the water. Let's see how that looks. You know what? I think that looks pretty good, actually. So I might do that. And then we'll just fix some of this grading a little bit here. And now where the ships are going to come in, we know that we're going to need it to be a little bit deeper. So let's get this to be a little bit deeper in this area. Okay, so now I mentioned that I wanted to build a shopping center. I am going to do that quickly. So this is the station department store, and I think that that would fit really well over here. Problem is, it looks like our key wall is disrupting it. So, just gonna test something out real quick. That's not there. How do we look? Still no good. Ooh. Well, I might need to freestyle a little bit. Yeah, we can just back that out just a bit. Let's see if we can still fit in our key wall. All right, very good. Cleaned everything up. Now we just have a little bit more grading to do. And basically what I'm trying to do here is make sure that everything has a real natural looking slope. No lumpies or bumpies on the way to the water. Just a nice, clean slope. And I also want to, if at all possible, leave enough space for a path, because I think that that's going to be an important component of what we're doing here. So I want to make sure before I get any further ahead of myself that I can fit a path through here. So it's funny, I noticed that when we built the Hamilton experience that the path there had palm trees, which I really like. Interestingly, the key wall's not allowing me to put up these paths that have decorations. I wonder if I could even do one that doesn't have decorations. I can always have my own trees. Nope, not going to allow it. So I do think that we're going to have to go with this traditional path, and that there's a couple of consequences to that. We're going to need to make sure that we add our own trees to this, and we're going to need to make sure that our grades are perfect, because these do not conform, or these do not grade for us. So just something to be aware of, something to keep in mind. So now we have this area that we need to figure out what we're going to do with this. Now I think this could be a really special area. I'm imagining this as a place where people would fish and where people would look to get some good local produce. So first of all, I said people are going to fish here, so we know that we're going to need some fishing piers. So add a couple of those right off the bat, and that's great. Great view from that pier. Look at that. Whoa, through the crowd. Already some fisher people. Fishermen and fisherwomen fishing, even though no one's visiting. That's just part of the asset, I guess. So now we've got this area here, and I do want to make this an organic and local produce district. And I mentioned that I want to rename part of this road. We're going to take Sardine and we're going to bring this down to the corner. And then I think we're going to take Smithson and we're going to make this Harbor Avenue. And we'll make this Fisherman Way. So I like that. So we've got Harbor Avenue that does extend all the way up and it's looping all over the place. Yeah, we'll fix that because we have Harbor at Harbor. Don't love that. As I struggle with this. Okay, and I also, while I'm here, let's just get some of these things fixed. We're not going to name them today because I need to get to my naming list before we do that. But at least now we don't have multiple intersections of the same street. If we were to forget about it, it's not the end of the world, but I don't want to forget about it. We've been very deliberate with all of our street names. So we have this district here. I'm going to make this the Harbor District. And this is going to be a 100% commercial district. But before we inadvertently zone this and have lots of issues, we are going to put our policy on there. And, what do I have right there? Is that offices? No, that is, I think we're going to extend this out. So this will demolish some buildings. I'd like to think that the city is okay with it here. So the nice thing that this is going to do is it's going to give Central Station a little bit of some lower rise buildings. But I think if we're already going to eliminate these buildings, let's really think about what we would do here. And I think we're going to eliminate some trees through here and give Central Station a nice view towards that harbor. And when we're zoning in this area, I want to think about that. And what I might try to do here, and I might struggle mightily at it, is to actually extend a path through here. We'll see how that turns out. Now, if we wanted to make connections through here, we'd need to get really hokey with our roadway connections. I think this might be a little bit more for looks than that. Yeah, even this, I'd have to take it clear and I'll make a couple of connections through, I guess. I'll do a little bit. I'll at least, well, let's see. I really want to make this function. I'm all about function, so. So that's going to make that connection a little bit worse, but that little bit worse isn't that much worse. So I'm not going to get overly crazy about that. But what this is going to do is give us a nice little path through this area where we can put some palm trees lining it maybe. Maybe we should give them some water though. That seems like an important consideration. So let's do that and we'll place these under the road where water pipes belong. Oh, that's great. I really, really like that. So let's see what we have here. Cruise ship. Empty, heading away. No water here, so why would they come here? So I want to speed this up just a little bit. We're going to need to do some landscaping to really give this place some life. I also, before I forget about it, I want to make sure that I have this path around the shopping center built. I also kind of want to zoom out. So we've built these paths here, and I think that we're going to extend these paths. And I also have another idea. So we are going to include a spur metro station. We will connect that later, but it's important to have that when we create our paths. Now that I'm thinking about this, to be able to actually get people and attract people to this area, we need to have a park gate. So this is already a park. We've established that in our previous episode. So we got our gates and they're connected. Although I did miss a couple. We're letting people in over here, and I don't know if they're being counted. Actually, first of all, I don't want to charge people to reach the beach. I know that some places do that, but I don't want to do that. I guess we don't need gates. So maybe I will skip that because they will be counted. No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it just to make sure. Also going to clean up this park area just to make sure that this is actually within the beach. How about Burr Hills? So I'm also going to rename this Verde Beach, not Verde Beach Beachfront. That's hokey and weird. Okay, so we have this connection here, and I want to place a few more throughout the area. Not in park area. So So here's where it's really important to have nice, clean districts, because you can end up having this just outside of the park area, which is frustrating. Okay, so now we can place our side gates, I think. And there's a slight angle to Ocean Avenue, which makes it really challenging to place gates. I think we'll leave it there for now. We can figure out more later. And I kind of just want to meander this up and down the coast. Let's take a look at our topography. And I like to do that because I think that topography leads to a fairly natural, interesting path. Especially if we decide to alternate between topography. What I think I'm going to do here is just kind of go up a few feet and then down a few feet, or meters rather. Now I noticed that I did make one mistake here. I used the paths that have trees. I do not want that because this is not a temperate place. I really wish that that converted to having palm trees, but it does not. So it looks like it has maples or something like that, and that's not the vibe we're going for here. So there are a couple places where things get a little wonky, so let's clean up our grading a bit. All right, there's a couple spots that I just can't do much with. This being one of those spots. It's just kind of like a dark spot that I don't like. Not much that I can do with it though. Okay, so we've got our connection. Park is free. No reason to walk it, but there's still someone doing it anyway. Perfect. All right, so I'm kind of all over the place right now, and I want to refocus. So I think for a moment, I want to focus on some landscaping. So I kind of want to see how's this district doing, and it looks like it's, for the most part, filled up. So let's do a little bit of landscaping. So there's a lot of lumpiness in this area, so we're going to need to do some extensive landscaping to make that look okay. I also think maybe I was a little severe in my approach to this area. I think maybe we could bring in some buildings a little bit closer because it looks kind of empty. The path, I think, does a good enough job of creating that vista down, so let's just extend these over now. And some trees are probably going to disappear, so we'll want to take care of those as well. All right, back to Landscaping Simulator. But I don't want just one kind of palm throughout this entire area, so I am going to go through and add some more tropical plants just to kind of give some more life to this area, give it some more depth. Now the other thing you can do if you want to get really, really particular is kind of look in between these stores, and sometimes you can place a tree or two, which I think adds quite a bit. All right, let's take a look. Yeah, that already looks more lively. So I do want to, I like to go through and add some smaller bushes in areas that are really, really messed up. So like this path is crazy. Oh, floating bushes. Those are my favorite. All right. So even though this is lumpy and bumpy and kind of weird, I think that having that landscaping adds a ton and brings some life to this area. And knowing how important this is, I really want to get that landscaping in here. Yeah, that is much better. I think we'd also potentially want to have some along here, but this will be significantly more challenging to place, potentially, because of that key wall. All right. And look at that. This area looks alive. And that's what I was really hoping for. Getting some visitors over here. Getting some visitors over here. Perfect. Look at all that pedestrian activity. There's a whole bunch of people taking the sidewalk to get to where they need to go. And that's exactly what we'd hope for. I think that we'd also, because this is really becoming a tourism hub, we'd probably want to focus on the pedestrian environment in this area as well. One of the things that can really make people want to be pedestrians is having a pedestrian environment that is varied and interesting and, really special. And one of the things that can do that is landscaping. So it's something that I think, particularly in the game, is often overlooked, but it's so important. So if you're building a city, don't forget about the landscaping. Sneak some trees in. Spend a little bit of time getting those trees to actually place. Even if it's a struggle, that one tree that you place might be the difference between your city being boring and to look at and really vanilla, or looking like someone paid a little bit of attention to what they were doing and cared about the community. So I think that it makes a huge difference. It makes all of this feel really good. One thing I don't love about the organic and local buildings is something that I think people are exploiting with that, and that is there are these electric charging stations. These buildings are set back with the parking in the front. And I would think that in a place like this, we'd want to bring all of the buildings to the street, create a nice pedestrian environment, and have all the parking fields behind it. And that's something that is a personal critique of mine of this game, is that you can't set parking policy, parking requirements, and where parking should be located in the game. And I understand that's a level of detail that the developers didn't want to get into or was challenging, but I hope that in the future that is a consideration, because it's a problem in this game. It's one that I see as a problem. It's something I see as a problem anyway. So anyway, we've got this going. Wow. We're going to need to take a look at transit routes in the future. This is a significant problem in my mind. I mean, wow. I think I'm just going to take a quick look at that. So this is the blue route. Yeah. Wow. Jeez. Holy cow. 1,200 people queued up there. We're going to crank this through the roof. So we'll go 300% there. Let's take a look at the other side of the road and see how that one's looking. Empty. Except for this stop. Lots of people here. We are going to crank this one up too. Maybe only 200% here, and hopefully take some of the pressure off that one stop. Wow, that's crazy. So we're leaving so many passengers behind. So let's see, this would be, we'll make this well, it's not really River Street anymore. This is is this Ocean Avenue that's, I guess it is River Street, so, because it's not really going down Ocean Avenue for the most part. So we'll make this, first of all, I just want to double check. This isn't River Street. So this is actually, it's really that University Loop. So we should be changing the color. And we'll make this the Buccaneer Express. Is it an express route though? I should really be checking these things. It's not. It's really a loop route. It's going up and down this one road, looping back around and pinging back and forth. So we'll make that the Buccaneer Loop. And that means that I've adjusted that one route for no apparent reason. That's okay though. There was a need to increase the service there, but this route is in dire need of additional buses. So one of the things that we're going to need to think about soon is, now we have all of these buses coming from way over here to get to this route. And I don't know where they're starting their route. But if they're starting it, and let me see. So I guess the first stop on the route is actually central stations, which could be a problem. That said, it actually has pretty good access to get here, because they would go through the roundabout, go down the arterial, and then come over to this collector in front of the station. Yeah, there's certainly some issues though, and this is a potential future problem if we don't remedy it. So we're gonna want to keep an eye on that. So I am going to do a little bit more landscaping before we get to connecting up that subway, that metro station. Look at this. Boat after boat after boat rolling. Whoa! Boats. A chain of boats. Look at that. Hundreds of passengers. Hundreds of passengers. That is crazy. They're all getting off. Look at that. 216. They're all just clipping into one another. Per boat. That is carrying every passenger in the world here, apparently. This, yeah, that's not great. Hopefully over time, as this demand diminishes or is alleviated, all this clipping stops. I don't know that it will. So this, to me, this is a good demonstration that we need, or it would have been preferable to have more than one harbor here, but I didn't do that. So maybe in the future. Okay, so landscaping. Okay, so now we've got this beautiful landscape path and no one using it because there's no reason to unless you're a runner. And I don't think that there are runners in this game. So let's think about what we could place here to draw some peep area. So the types of things, first of all, I think a cafe would be lovely. But we're going to need to really pay attention to where we place this because we're going to need it to have water and power. Hopefully right there, water's covered, power's covered. We're good. So for some of the other amenities that don't need water and power, we might be able to place those a little bit further away. So I think it'd be nice to have a gazebo. Take away that tree that we just placed and put it right there. Maybe a couple of others as well. So maybe not the most exciting amenities, but it does give people a reason to come here. Well, and that is ultimately, oh no, this gazebo needs power. Do the others? No, because they haven't. So what that tells me is I need something else there. That will. And that also looks horrible. So even though it takes care of it, I don't like the way it looks. I do not think that I could place volleyball on this, and this is truthfully what I would like to place here the most. That said, we can accomplish this. Let's have a couple volleyball courts over here. And I do think it would be nice to have some sort of path connection between there because clearly people would want to come from this path and walk over to the courts. So let's do that as well. One last bit of landscaping. This will make this kind of a special area within the park. You got to have that road so you can place the building. But you're still giving people the opportunity to bike to it, like this person. Are they going to go? Yeah, all right. That is exactly what I was hoping for. Perfect. So that's going to give our park a little bit more life. Interestingly, we're probably going to end up leveling this park up just kind of naturally without even thinking about it. Oh, grading issues. Okay, I think that's much better. So, last but not least, let's get this subway spur put together. So, what I'm thinking, first of all, we're going to want to be underground for this, obviously. I don't want to just completely duplicate what's already happening, but I do think that this spur needs to get all the way to the central station. So this is going to be a quick one. And truthfully, there are a couple of options that we could have taken, and maybe in the future we will. So I think monorail between this area would have worked, but I think I'm reserving the monorail from between Central Station and the airport, wherever that ends up in the future. Oh, look at this disaster. See if we speed it up, if that fixes things. What is going on with these boats? Is it just not deep enough? Let's do one quick thing. Not sure that that's actually going to improve anything, but we'll give it a shot and we will screw up the water along the way. Figure, well, I think they're just coming in too fast. They're just coming in incredibly fast. So many boats want to dock here. It's clear that we need another harbor, and that'll be something we need to take care of in the near future. Because otherwise we're going to have this. Boat, 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 boat. Or we need to wait to get our airport, and hopefully some of the tourists will come to the city in that way. But either way, I think we're doing good right now. Let's take a look at a couple things. Traffic flow. Yeah, it's certainly a challenge in this area. Let's take a look at our transit. I kind of want to let this run for a second and watch it fill up. So 146 people used this in the last week. Not bad. I'm a little surprised. I thought it was going to get a little bit higher in the future. That said, we are forcing a transfer, which might be impacting this a bit. Wow. 1,845 people at Central Station. So 150, that's fine. We could make a connection over here to this station. There's a lot of people using it, but the reality is until this spur goes somewhere else, and right now it just we have a really rich selection of transit in this downtown area, but not much kind of elsewhere. We just have a couple bus lines and the tram network. Without more, I don't know that it makes a ton of sense to make that connection. So for the time being, we're going to just leave it. And truthfully, there's more I want to do with the subway lines, more with spurs. We could have a spur that goes to the university, for instance, that would probably be very well utilized. These are really event-specific stops. We've got 2 of them over here, and we're forcing all of these university students to walk across. So lots we could do. That said, I'm pretty pleased with where we've ended up today. We've got this great harbor area now. Ooh, look at that. 482 people using it. Another ship coming in. Slow things down and take a look. These passengers coming off. Everyone wearing Verde Beach green coming in to get to a game. Kind of curious. Where are these folks going? They're going all over the place. And that is what we want. That connectivity, that level of those number of options. That means that we don't have traffic backups. That means that we have a traffic and transportation network that allows people to get to different places on a variety of different modes. And that's why we're hovering around 84, 85, 83% traffic flow, because people aren't being forced to drive everywhere, which is the goal. So I do think we are going to leave it here today. I really appreciate you taking the time to come to Verde Beach with me. If you liked this video, please consider hitting the like button. If you aren't subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so. And if you want to be notified when I release new videos, hit that notification bell. I also want to take a moment to thank my Community Development Director level Patreon supporters. Their names are shown here. Thank you so much for joining me, and stay tuned. Take care. Bye-bye.